Hello, everyone. Wanted to start off with a question. Do you need to say no? I know. It's a hard question, isn't it? Especially if you're getting started. Some of the young guns in my audience. I appreciate y'all. Because I've been in that spot. And honestly, it's a bad habit that I've developed so far. So I just thought I'd speak more to that and kind of give a reminder to not only myself, but to maybe a lot of you that are maybe in the same position as me, or you're at a plateau or an inflection point of where something's about to change. You know, I know that we're all on this journey and we're in ebbs and flows, whatever season you're in. I hear you. I hope you're doing okay. And if you're really feeling the pressure and grind, I promise you're going to get through it. Just don't give up. So with that being said, what is this question? Do you need to say no? I want to talk a little bit about how I got here. And part of the reason with the past few episodes that we've recorded so far, a lot of the reasons I got these opportunities, as I alluded to, was because I never said no. Man, my schedule was filled to the brim. And a good preface for my scheduling being full all the time was that I was an athlete in middle school and high school, and I was well accustomed to basically having no free time. And when I did have free time, I was just playing video games or, playing with my friends, because as I started getting more professional work, I just kept saying yes. I'm like, okay, well, I can move this around or I can move that around. Yeah, I eventually got to a point where there's not enough time in the day. And if you're at that point, I know that you hear me right now and you're like, yeah, I might be at that point. And I'm going to tell you right now, the next opportunity that comes up, you might have to say no. And that is a skill that I have been trying to develop in just really the past few years. It's been really hard for me. My fiance has been a big proponent and coach for me to say no and an advocate for myself. Sarah's honestly the secret sauce to why I don't go insane. Because when I see opportunity, it's really hard for me to say no because I can already build things in my head of what the potential could be. There's a lot of opportunities that I see that right now, as I, start to make more boundaries and have more experiences, I know that I'll have an even better filter than what I do now. And realistically, that's life and that's business. Like, there's going to be opportunities that sound great on surface, but if the price ain't right, no reason to do it. And for me, getting started, I had the attitude of just like, I need experience. So whatever it was, I was glad when people paid me. And if they didn't feel like they could pay me, I'd be like, it's fine. Like, I would like to see what comes out of this. And I did almost everything under the sun. And what I mean by that is, as far as videography and editing, I have recorded everything but a movie and a short film. I have not done those two things. And I'm sure I'll be able to do that in the future. It's just, that's a different type of creative juice. And right now, when you start out with like an indie film, you're usually not going to be paid very well, if at all, especially with like a lot of documentaries. At least where the area that I'm in. I haven't branched out that far because right now it doesn't interest me. I'm more interested in the creator economy and just business in general. So that's kind of where I've been. But with that being said, there came a point where I was going to school full time. I was doing the podcast. I was doing this side project, the iStudio at the time for the university. And I was trying to have a relationship with my girlfriend at the time, which is, of course, my fiance now, Sarah. And it was very, very hard. I did not have much time at all. And very little people know me from my class because I was always doing something. The people that I really hung out with were people that I knew from high school that we happened to go to the same college, because I really didn't make time to make too many new friends, and I didn't have enough time to go make new friends because I was still like chasing opportunities and trying to make money while I was in college. And then I eventually got to a point where things were just falling through the cracks. And I'm sure a lot of you who are listening to this know that feeling. It's, oh shit, I need to go do this. Or, oh my God, I need to do this. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Okay, let me go fix it. So you're starting fires that could have been prevented because you're keeping your plate too full. And like, I've also heard keeping your plate, could be a curve for many other things like depression. Like you don't have time to think about things in your past or something that happened to you. So you'd rather keep your plate full and keep going because that pays the bills, or you would rather do such thing. And for me, that was definitely the case. Like I needed to feel liked by professionals because I wanted to be a professional so bad. I was trying to not be a kid so bad. And what that cost me was my whole college experience. And it's not boo-hoo, but it's just the reality of what my story is. Is like I really don't have much college experience at all. I have a lot of business experience because I did a lot of business in college. And, for better or for worse, I think it really has shaped and given me a lot of tools to pass along to our audience right now. So anyway, going back to it, my two mentors at the time, they were the co-producers of the show. They both sat me down one day and were like, hey, for 2 weeks in a row, you've needed a little bit more time for the episode. And at this point, I was getting better at editing, but I had too much stuff on my plate and I had to ask for a few hours because we would usually post at 5 a.m. And I would send them a text the night before, hey, can I actually release it at 7 a.m. tomorrow? And they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. But this was interesting to them because they're like, hey, this is starting to happen more frequently. And that sinking feeling with people that you look up to and you professionally work with, when they're sitting you down having a conversation, it's definitely one you don't want to keep having. And like they were totally nice about it and sweet about it because of course they wanted me to be successful. But I remember specifically that day because I was like, oh, wow, the mask is off. Like I felt like I was doing such a good job, like balancing and juggling all of these things. And now like they know my secret. I'm doing too much. And when that happened, it was great. I was like, okay. Wow, I needed someone else to give me permission that I could chill out for a second. I need to chill out for a second. You look tired. I hope that your schoolwork's getting done because this is falling behind. So I want you to be a little bit more communicative when things are a little crazy in your world. Like, tell me a little bit sooner. That would help us. And it's like, oh, yes. So those were two kind of preludes to what I was really dealing with. And what I identify now is that I've never really been a good communicator. I loved serving and providing everyone. I had a very much a people pleaser mentality. And if you've dealt with me personally, I'm sure you've seen that because like I said before, I love the opportunity. Because I can already build things in my mind of what an opportunity can be. And, to see that to fruition is a whole nother thing because I would love to do that. But now I'm at this point where I have to say no. And I hate that. I hate that feeling. Oh, man. But now I'm actually training myself to love that feeling because there's just some opportunities that it's like, well, dang, I'm actually at this place now to where I have to say no. But, I try my best to give them some sort of resource since I've been in the game for a little bit. So that's what I try to do. So this is a quote that is not really profound, but I always think about it from time to time because it was simply, hey, you have all your life to work. You're a kid. Go enjoy it. I was like, oh, damn. You're right. But you don't really fully, truly understand it until you're out of being a kid, till you're out of high school, till you're maybe out of college, whatever that season is for you. I hope that you get to enjoy more with the people that are around you before, we all go live our separate lives as it be. But circling back from that conversation that I had with my mentors, it gave me a lot of time to reflect on what I should do next. And I really just needed a lot of coaching to say no. And the first person that did that for me was one of the co-producers. She did a great job with opportunities that would come up because what she would do is call me and tell me about this opportunity. And then she would just listen. She'd just listen to kind of I guess how I felt about the opportunity, if I was really excited or if I was like, I wonder. And then and then she would come to the conclusion of okay, that is something that Kyle can handle. Or it's like, hey, actually, do you think you can really handle this? And then I'd sit there and ponder, I don't know. And she's like, okay, great. No, that's a no. And then we go on to the next thing. But what was really hard for me was she personally asked me for a project, for an entrepreneurial project that she was working on with one of her family members. And the project was really cool. It was an audio course for parents and something that I haven't seen before. There's a few of them now, but she was, in my opinion, kind of the cutting edge because they were doing something a little bit different. I don't know. It was like a super cool project, and it just meant the world to me that my mentor put a lot of stock and belief into me to get this project done. And man, that was an undertaking because I could get away with some of the audio mishaps because I had to edit video. And if you're editing video, you can't chop it up so much, especially if it's done like on a proper camera, which like my stuff was. Now on Zoom, that's a little bit different because people will be a little bit more lenient because there's audio dropouts and there's a lot of stuttering when it comes to like internet connections. So you get a little bit more lenient when you're editing podcasts in that way. But with this audio course, I was like, oh, wow, I need to make it like really clean and I need to make sure that everything like sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I think I can do that. And then that was the biggest rabbit hole that I went down because now I'm getting better at production. I'm getting a little bit better at editing, but now I'm like really taking in this world of audio and becoming a pseudo audiophile. And for those that don't know what that means, it's just someone that is so nerdy about audio that they worry about the acoustics in a room, the acoustics and applications of like the recording software you're using, the recording equipment that you're using. You just obsess over all things audio, your speakers, everything. So I was really trying to learn my way just through YouTube. I'll definitely link some of the people that I've learned from down below. But I remember one of those nights, I got a full set of raw audio files and I spent about 7 to 8 hours trying to make 30 seconds sound good. And I remember crying my eyes out. I was devastated because I could not make this 30 seconds, even 10 seconds sound good. It just sounded like trash. It was distorted. It didn't make any sense. Like everything in my own head was like so off of like what I was doing. And I spent 7 to 8 hours straight, like trying to work through the problem. Like that was one of the inflection points that pushed me to the next level. Like I felt this like such pain that I have this responsibility that someone gave me, like they invested in me. I want to perform, like I need to perform because I told them that I would take care of this. Like she is willing to hand me her hard-earned money. Like outside of the project that her and I are working on with the university is paying me. Now this is my mentor and like friend that is paying me. I need to step up to the plate in such a different way, and I want this to be perfect because this is my friend that believes in me. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks because I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. And I remember I spent 7 to 8 hours that day, and I just bawled my eyes out because I couldn't make it sound good. So I slept on it, and then I just went to tutorial hell. I just was trying all kinds of different methods until I understood that all people's voices are different. The recording atmosphere needs to change a bit. It might need to, or, there are some things that you could supplement your audio. So some of the nerdy things that I found out is acoustics. So behind me is a 4-inch foam, which does a pretty good job. I'll have it linked down below. I use them all the time. It's Foam Factory. And I purchased 2 bass traps. Here's one. So I purchased 2 bass traps and put them side by side and put one on top. So there's 3 of them. So it had like this little like booth that I built for them. And like what made me laugh out loud, I'll see if I can find it and you'll see it now. Alex Hormozy did this for his new book coming out, $100 million Leads or whatever. But I made this prior to that happening. But I made this and then sent them a tutorial on what I was doing. And then they're like, oh my God, this is so fun. And when I did that, I could audibly hear the difference. I was like, oh my God, I did something. Okay, I'm an audio engineer. But that was not the case. So I eventually got a better product. And then what was really nice about it is that not only did I get a better product, I got a little bit more confident in what I was using. So I found something that I still use today. It's awesome. It's $100. It's a plugin for Adobe Audition called Acon Digital. I think they're on version 3, but I had version 2 and it was great. And I still use both of those today in my audio workflow. So those are awesome. And then I just had to know the nuances, the real just creme de la creme of what to find out and how to use audio. And one of the big discoveries that I made while I was editing was not only using the waveform tab inside Adobe, but the mix down. So I had a little bit of experience when I was mixing drums, but I was like, oh, okay, I now know how I can use this application to add music and add different like sound effects and all that stuff. So I was getting better at Audition, but two of the things that really helped me was understanding not only mic placement, but the environment that they were in. So it's like, hey, don't record in a gymnasium with giant ceilings. Like try and record in like a bedroom or an office and just sit these next to you. So everything is a little bit more, man, I wonder if y'all can hear the difference just putting that next to my head. Now I'm like finding out more resources because I'm practicing. I'm practicing with equipment and like I'm making sure that I'm writing down everything that I'm learning. So my whole audio process that I put on our course is exactly the process that I have refined over 4 years now. And that started out on a notebook paper, and then I made it into a like checklist on Trello. And then now it's just muscle memory for me. And then I put it again into the course. But man, it really took me failing miserably and having like this weight of responsibility to show up for my friend. And that's what it took for me to not only take it more seriously, but to make me learn what I needed to learn. Like there was pain and pressure applied, so I got better. It's a lot harder to do that on your own because you're not trying to solve someone else's problem. And the inverse of where that eventually comes back around, what I think in the content creator space is that, oh, you're actually doing the opposite. You are building and creating for those that are one step behind you or your younger self. So that's what I'm doing now. And getting back to the theme of this episode is like, well, you might need to say no to some of the opportunities. And you might need to write down, I would definitely write down what you have on your plate and how much time it's actually taken away. And don't lie to yourself. I did that all the time. I was like, oh, well, that's only going to take 3 hours. That's only going to take 2 hours. Oh, that's so easy to do. I could definitely do that. It's going to take longer. Budget for a lot of time and give yourself big windows to do even just a simple task. And like, you'll feel better about it like day by day. But I do want to encourage you to set up some boundaries for yourself. Give yourself some time to take a break when you're working on stuff. I'm getting really good at that lately, given that we have the amount of clients that we do, and we have this nice new income stream from YouTube and like our courses. So it's given me more freedom to work effectively. And I've pretty much structured our life on like my workflow, which is really cool. And like I'm really blessed and like grateful that I've been able to do that. But it's taken the 16 to 18 to 100-hour work weeks to figure that out. So I'm really grateful. But that's kind of the environment that I had to put myself in, is to really figure out the nuts and bolts of what I needed to do to get good. And like I said in the first one, the podcast and sound workflow, it eventually developed from 1 week to 8 episodes in 1 day. And that was not an easy process. It was painful and terrible. And if you have to go down the same road, like I'll be right there with you. I'll be giving you all the gems that I know. A lot of that will be easy to understand, and I'll try to not make it so abstract, because a lot of people on YouTube made it abstract. And I was just like, what are you saying? Just tell me what I need to do. But it really helps if you try it yourself. Like, it's going to give you a better understanding. And more importantly, if you try to teach it to someone else, you're going to have to understand what it is to describe it. I know I was kind of all over the place there, but I wanted to make some connections of how I view it in like where we are today, because some of those conversations were really valuable to me. And I've had a bunch of them with Sarah, because it was always like, okay, do we really need to do this? Okay, what are they paying? Is this opportunity really worth your time? I know you want to give back. I know you want to do this. And that's why we started making content, because we're going to be making a podcast course, because I have a lot of old clients that are reaching out because they're starting podcasts. And my mission and vision for that is to make a course that's really educational and that's really, thorough and can walk you through it. And I want to make that evergreen too, because, technology is always changing, but I want to make it self-sustaining. And a self-sustaining show is really hard to do if you don't have the right mindset. And I know everyone says that, but it's true. And one of the easiest ways to think about starting a podcast or something even in long form videos is scripting out something. If you want intros and outros, like make the show that is a reflection of you. Like that's what people are going to buy into. Like if it's a reflection of you, great, awesome. But make a show that's either 1 to 8 episodes a season. Make it in seasons rather than like, oh, I'm going to post every single week. Because I'll tell you from experience, posting for every single week for 2.5 years, great. You have this giant catalog, but like you're going to burn out everybody. Like we burn out our producer. I burn out a few times, and we burn out our co-producer because she couldn't be available. And that's a really big undertaking if you're trying to do a show like that. So for people that start, I try to really tell them, like, you want to batch record. You want to sit down like I am right now and record a few of them. And with that, like, are you hiring someone? If not, like, here are the nuts and bolts on how to edit it. If you want this, if you want that, or like, these are the essentials. These are the bare bones that you need. And like, I'm going to break all that down in the course because I wish that someone showed me how to do it instead of it being like this 2 to 3 day process. It's like, oh, you can like pretty much get what you need in just a few hours. And that's really comforting. So anyway, I'm trying to make it more attainable and sustainable for people that want to get started in media. And I think it's gotten just so much better since I started. And I know that I talk to veterans that work on movies that they're like, oh man, I wish I started right now. And it's like, right? Like, even when I started, like, I'm 26, like, I'm not that old. And, like, the technology just gets better. And, like, the example that I can think about is in the iStudio, we bought a mixer, this big mixer. And that was before the Rodecaster came out or, like, podcast-specific hardware. Because I think the Rodecaster came out and the PodTrack P4. It was like this little handheld PodTrack thing. I was like, oh my God, I wish I had that when I started podcasting. That would have been so easy. So now we have all of these. Now the market is flooded with all kinds of different applications, but there's still a disconnect when people are just trying to put a camera in front of their face. So, and that gets into the whole personal brand part of it. But just a reminder, like, do you need to say no? Maybe it would be helpful for you to work on boundaries for yourself first before you put boundaries up in the real world or even in business. Because if you can respect your own time, you're going to be able to not only respect another person's time, but they're going to be able to respect your time. I know that a lot of people will tune in to hear or Alex Hormozy or Danco or the people that I listen to because we're often looking for permission of what I think. I know a lot of people ask for my opinion and I'm just like, what? You really want my opinion? And since I've been doing it for so long, it's like, oh yeah, no, actually I could actually give you a little advice on what you could do. And I don't take that lightly when people ask for me for advice because I just really try and take you to the place of where I was. And I take it really seriously because we only have one life. And I really don't know why people waste the opportunity. And that's just kind of my mentality on it right now. I've never been a proponent to really chill out. That's something that I've had to kind of dial back on, like opportunity. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. Like nothing is ever enough, which is often common with entrepreneurs. But if you're going to hit that wall, you're going to hit that time of where you need to reflect and you need to take some time off and spend some time with people that support you and care about you. So just a reminder for all those that are listening to this, go and do that. Go eat something. Go laugh a little bit. Not online. Like, you need some human interaction, as people say, touch grass. Nature's great. So just thought I'd leave that for y'all. And then as we kind of end on that personal brand, I didn't even try to set that up, but it's actually a perfect setup for our next episode. So I will be seeing you in the next one. Love y'all.